Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to do a gold and royal blue eye look. I've already put on my foundation and done my brows just to save you the lengthiest part of my makeup routine, but I will let you know what I used. So I actually primed my face with a pretty well known by now makeup artist secret. It is Monistat anti-chafing gel. It's basically the same as any silicone primer, and I just use it on my pore filling areas or where I have some breakouts that are healing or whatnot. Then I followed up with Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I am in the shade Porcelain, and for me it only takes one pump to spread it around my face and do a lot of good coverage. For highlighting as well as specifically under eye coverage, I use the Maybelline Age Rewind dark circle eraser in the Neutralizer shade, which I believe is number 150. It's the most yellow one of the bunch. I blend that in with a faux beauty blender or a real beauty blender. I have both, it's just a matter of which one's clean. This one happens to come from Marshall's and they're $3.99, and I really like the texture of them. They're a little stiffer, but they feel like a more luxurious sponge. For spot cover-ups, I use the Covergirl, it's the Aqua version stick concealer, usually comes in a point, and I am in the shade 705 Fair. If I find that my dark circles under my eyes are particularly persistent, I will use either Benefit Erase Paste, or what I have on hand today is the Pixie Correction Concentrate in Brightening Peach. Again, I will go over everything with the little beauty blender, especially if I use the correction concentrate, but pretty much anytime under my eyes I will set it with some sort of powder. And my current favorite at the moment is the Coty Airspun powder, and this is in the translucent extra coverage, and I just dab my little beauty blender in there and almost bake, but I don't go completely to that extent of leaving so much powder on my face that I have to brush it off later. I kind of just blend it in as I go. So I actually forgot one. The brush that I use for blending in my foundation is, and it's so well loved, you can't even see a brand name on it, but it's the Real Techniques buffing brush. It's part of the, I think it's the, I don't remember if it's the core collection or not, but it's the more rounded ferrule version of the Expert face brush. The Expert face brush is a bit pinched in, but I like both of them. It's just whichever one's clean. For brows, I used today the Maybelline Brow Define and Fill Duo in Blonde. I do have this little duo-ended brush. There's a set from Walmart that has this and two other duo-ended brushes. That's like super cheap, no brand name on them that I know of or anything, and they've lasted me really well. But any spoolie ended brush, because this does not come with one, I just kind of comb through my brows and then fill them in. And then to hold them in place, I use NYX Control Freak brow gel. Good, inexpensive, works really well. For more quick days that I just don't have time to fuss with more than one product, I will pull out the Benefit Gimme Brow in light medium. This has a little bit of coverage, a little bit of hold, so just kind of comb through. But today I want a little extra step, nothing major. I have fairly decently full brows. I just have one section here and one little section here that just don't ever lay even, and this portion of my brows especially needs the brow gel because it tends to go wiry and crazy. So on to the actual eye look portion. My items that I'll be showing you, you can mix in. I'm gonna try and pick things that you can easily pick up at the drugstore or Ulta, but there are some limited edition or Christmas palette type things that I tend to prefer for my look that I will show you. If you happen to have them, then great, use them. If you don't, there are alternatives. Just look for a nice medium shade gold, not too light, but you don't want it dark and kind of on the orange side. I don't find that looks particularly good for this look, so I'll show you a couple of examples from the new Covergirl True Nudes Goldens palette. The shade pretty much right smack down in the middle is this shade of gold here. And this actually has nice pigmentation. These first three shades, they're alright, but the others are actually very, very nice in this palette. So if you think you can get use out of the gold and the olive shades, it's actually a really nice palette for $9.99. Another palette that came as part of a Christmas duo, there was Be Bright, Be Merry. I really, really love the gold in this one. It is called Buttered Rum, and it's right up here. This is my favorite one to do this eye look with. It's kind of more on the brassy side of a gold, but it's my favorite one. But I won't use that for this one, but if you happen to have that color, my favorite. We'll jump in. I'm actually going to start with a more basic palette. You can use like the Naked Basics, or I prefer this one because it's got more versatility to it in my opinion. But it is the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. And I'm going to be using, for the most part, this first quad because it's the most neutral. I'm going to get started actually with this creamy shade of the quad. Just kind of go all over my eye, highlight under my brow, inside corner of my eyes. We'll get started with that. For that, I'm just using a rather basic, fluffy Eco Tools rounded top brush. Now, I've already kind of primed my eyes, just as a preface to this. I tend to take my foundation over my eyes, and then when I do the powder with the sponge, I tend to blot it over top to make things easy to blend over top of, but it's also canceled out any veins or anything like that that's on my eyelids. Let me grab my brush here first. And this is part of an Eco Tools duo. I'm going to use the crease side of it, not the smudgy side. I'm going to take this medium warm brown into the crease and up onto the brow bone a little. And just using windshield wiper motions till you get it blended to where you want it. Forgive me, I do keep looking at the viewfinder fairly frequently. This is my first video, so it's still a work in progress. It'll be very much a chat through for the first couple videos that I send you guys, but gradually as I learn some editing and whatnot, hopefully this will improve. Okay, so next I'm actually going to take my gold and we'll come back in with crease stuff, or like outer V deepening last. For this, I'm just going to use a little stiffer flat brush, and I am going to pick up the gold in this palette, and we're just going to pat this on the lid, mostly on the rounded like eyeball portion, not too far in, not going too out to the crease. Now I will point out, with this Covergirl palette, if these shades show up fairly decently on you, you can use this one all over the lid, you can use this one in your crease, and you can use this one for the last step that I'm about to show you. I just don't find that these two have the best pigmentation, but if you just want to give this look a try and you're not looking to invest as much as the Kat Von D Shade and Light to get started, then don't worry about it. This one it'll work. It'll get the job done. And then as you play with it more, if you want more out of it, then go ahead and pick up the Shade and Light. Also, another good gold that you can buy as a single if you just wanted to do this look on an everyday basis and you bought this, is the Urban Decay Half Baked that's in their original Naked palette, but you can buy it as a single. Last part of the upper portion of the eye look, at least as far as shades, we're going to take this deeper brown in the middle and we're just going to put it toward the outer corner of the eye. It will eventually end up buffed into the crease a little bit, but for the most part we're looking to deepen the outer V corner. And I'm just patting this in for right now. I'll take a different brush to blend it. So I'm going to go back in with the brush that I started out putting my base color on, and I'm just going to kind of blend the outer edges. And you can see that softened most everything up, just enough to make it look even. From here, I am going to tightline my eyes. I will be using the new Maybelline Master Precise Skinny Pencil in Defining Black. These are like super micro pencils that are like your really skinny brow pencils, but now you have them for your eyes, which is fantastic. You can actually do a wing with this if you want to, and you really don't need to worry about sharpening it because it's a super skinny pencil. I can't remember how many millimeters it is, but it's like your standard like Anastasia Brow Wiz or the NYX Micro Brow. It's one of the super skinny pencils. And for tightlining my eyes, I typically try to look away from where I'm putting the pencil in, so usually like in and down as I'm doing this. And tightlining simply makes your lashes look fuller without taking away from the depth of your lid. So especially anyone who deals with hooded eyes, younger, older, or anywhere in between, or is concerned about how big their eye looks, just tightline your eyes. If you have huge lids, go ahead, do it on top, and do all of that. I usually do. This makes it look a little more natural than going with a hard wing. If you're going out for the evening and you want to take this look from, this would be, you know, work appropriate, to a little more fancy for evening, you can go ahead and, you know, then add the blue liner that I'll show you in a second. Put a dark wing V and then a deep lip and go out to dinner, drinks with girls, whatever. I'm gonna go ahead in with the L'Oreal Silkissime liner in Cobalt Blue. And we're going to just do a little of this down underneath the eye. And then I'll go ahead with mascara after that. And basically the look will be done. Now what I am going to do, I'm going to take the corner of this brush, which you can see is a little angled brush, and just smudge this out so it's a little softer, so you can't tell that I like drew it on. Now I am going to take a little bit of the mid-tone brown with the smudgy end of this crease brush that we used originally. And I'm just going to smudge it from the top corner, just into this a little bit. Just to make this appear a little smokier and also not like an afterthought. Make it seem very much part of the look. And I will take a creamy black liner and put it on that inner waterline. I don't ever really tend to go completely into my inner corners, only because I have naturally dark corners and I don't want to make it any worse. So I stop like basically where the last lash stops, but I kind of fade it out and make it thin as I go. And then we will go ahead and do mascara. The black liner that I used for this is Cynthia Rowley, excuse me, eyeliner in black. I got this in an Ipsy bag recently, but you could easily use the black Silk Kiss-Me liner from L'Oreal. They're both very similar and very creamy. The mascara I'm using is the Revlon Ultra Volume. I really, really love this. Let me show you the brush. It is also new, and it's just a traditional brush, but it doesn't have set gaps in it, so you actually get really nice definition as well as volume and length. I find the ones that are like strictly spiraled around, you really don't get definition out of them because your lashes just like clump in between those sparse gaps. The plus is too, this brush tends to hold quite a good amount of product, so I don't find where I have to go back in and dab for more mascara per eye. Forgive the faces I make while I do mascara. I know all of us make some sort of face usually when we do this, so you'll understand. Okay, so eyes are done. Let me zoom you in real quick so you can get a better look at this. So you can see the shading, you can see the gold, and then some of the blue. Anyway, the eyes are done. I'm gonna do a little bit of contour, a little bit of blush, and then pick a lip color. Contour, I use the same thing every single day. I use the NYX HD Blush in Taupe. For someone as fair as I am, this is a very neutral gray toned contour. Forgive me, my feet are falling asleep. I'm sitting on the floor because it's the best spot for lighting in the house. Ugh. But yeah, so it's a very cool tone. It tends to look like a natural shadow on your face, which is really important. You don't want somebody to think it looks like Oompa Loompa orange or muddy. So some bronzers don't work that well even if they are matte. And for that I use the Real Techniques sculpting brush. I am going to put a little bit of bronzer on. I am super fair, so I do tend to use a little bit of bronzer. This is the Physicians Formula Bronze Booster, and this is in the shade medium to deep because it is not overly dark for a medium to deep bronzer. It's not really that much different from the light to medium, and I tend to like it just a little bit deeper anyway. And I'm just doing around my hairline. Today I'm going to use a bit more of a corally blush. I usually use a very neutral rose tone blush, but because there's so much gold going on and it's kind of summery inspired, I'm going to use the NYX HD blush called the Hamptons. That's a bit more corally pink. And I am using the Sonia Kashuk. Oh no, I rubbed off the brush numbers. Anyway, it's their slanted blush brush. I do love these. You can pick them up at Target, and they're pretty decent quality brushes. These blushes, I will tell you that you can, these NYX ones, they are very, very pigmented, so use a very light hand when you dab your blush brush in. Otherwise you'll get way too much. One of the last steps to my face, other than my lips, I am going to use a fan brush and NARS Albatross. And this is a very light highlight. It is golden in tone, but you wouldn't know that. It kind of looks like straight up white, but it looks really, really pretty. A little bit on my Cupid's bow. As far as a name on this brush, I don't have one. You can probably pick up one in an artist store, or several brush collections have them, but this one has no name. And I got it from a friend, so I don't actually know where it's from. So typically with an eye look this dramatic, I tend to go a bit more neutral. A little pink. So I'm actually going to be combining two of my favorite nude lips. They are the L'Oreal collection exclusive JLo's Nude and Julian's Nude. Those numbers are 620 for Julian's Nude and 370 for Jennifer's Nude. And I will start with Jennifer's. It is a beautiful nude shade that works on so many people. I think I'll actually stop there. I was going to add Julian's Nude to it, but I don't think I need to. So there you have it, your gold and blue eye look. You can wear this out for the evening, possibly wear it to work depending on your workplace roles. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in my next video. See you guys.